2024 insights that will help you to progress your career. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management specialist. I help professionals to become successful project managers. How do I do that in practice? Well, in practice it can vary a lot because in some situations I help project managers struggling with their own project, like I help them to put the structure, to gain visibility, to understand how to proper organize a work breakdown structure, how to proper organize a timeline, how to verify their business case, how to proper communicate with also important stakeholders. Sometimes I help them to prepare for interviews. Other times I help them prepare CVs to get interviews. So it can be a very broad. The point is, my goal here is to help you to build the skills to be a successful project manager. And of course, that goes from a development program, but also in mentoring and different other steps that I can take. Before I talk about the content from today, make sure you like and share this video here because there's a lot of important data that people needs to understand and must know to foster the entire project management career, but also to make sure that we understand each other moving forward. So everything I'm going to share here is the data researched by Project Management Institute. If you haven't heard that before, Project Management Institute, also known as PMI, is the biggest project management institution around the world. And they do research and a lot of research every year to think about how the profession is developing, how the market is developing, and how project management also will help the society and the organization as a whole. So if you haven't heard me saying that before, here I'm going to mention it again. We are in the middle of a talent shortage there. What does it mean? Does it mean that a lot of companies they need qualified professionals, but they cannot find the people with the right skills there? And the news is that PMI estimated that this gap will only grow, and estimating that can reach a peak in 2030 of 25 million project management employees lacking in the market with the skills to keep to develop projects. But you mean, okay, why this gap so big? Because everything that connected basically with development with growth goes via projects like new products, new services, construction, energy transition, other challenges that we have in the society, R&D. All those things are projects. So this is quite important from what we do. Not only that, but a lot of people, it's expected that a lot of people will start to retire. So a lot of the veterans, they are going to retire. Around 13 million of veterans are expected to retire in the coming years, which comes up with this 25 million gap there. And this is so impactful that it can create a big hole of more than 300 billion in the global GDP by 2030 if companies they don't find a way to tackle this challenge there. And I know that some people might be thinking, but what about artificial intelligence? I have to tell you that artificial intelligence enhances the necessity of project management. Why? Because project managers they can deal with the complexity and with the system thinking view that an artificial intelligence cannot deal with that yet. I do not know if it will always be the case and what's going to happen in the future, but I can tell you there the use of artificial intelligence only is enhancing the good project managers there because then you can be more efficient and you can deliver much more value there in what you are doing. And so this is the basic scenario where we are, and here I want to focus in the one of the recent research that's why you see in the title PMI Pulse of Professional 2024. That's research that the PMI did and released a couple of weeks or a few weeks ago. And then, of course, there are all kinds of interesting insights that I want to share with you here, there. So make sure that you stay with me. The first one that's quite interesting to see because you've heard it about agile. Agile it's a big trend, and agile has been a trend for a few years already. That a lot of companies they want to be agile and so on. But the this year research shows something that a bit curious there. If you see in the graph that I'm presenting here, The green bar here means that professionals around the world reporting they are working with Agile, and you see that after a raising number from 2021, 22, from 23, this number has gone down. What exactly does it mean? Well, it means that first it's good news because that people start to understand that it's agile has a lot of benefits, and if you understand the cultural part, the values, and then you can harvest benefits in a lot of organizations. But just as, as using Scrum as a process will not work for all types of projects. Let's start like that, and will not have value add in all type of projects. So what's important that you see here that so it seems that companies finally they start to understand it because again a waterfall or predictive as PMI calls here predictive agile and a hybrid they are available in different situations because each project has its own specifics that will drive its own needs. So it's not possible to say, let's go everybody to use Agile, let's go everybody to use Scrum, because that does not work. In a lot of projects, that will not even be very feasible. Or if you try to do it, it's going to end up in a mess. So that's something that you see there. So companies are using less an Agile approach, but on the other hand, the hybrid approach increased. And if you have been following me for a while, you've seen me always saying that a good project manager there to be successful, you need to understand the predictive waterfall, if you want to call, you need to understand agile, Scrum, Kanban, but you also need to understand the hybrid model. You also need to understand other items there. Why? Because those situations will be different. Companies' constraints will be different. And because I also see a lot of people that they get on board in a big trend called agile, and mainly a lot of people trying to enter the market, trying to get a job in project management. They say, I'm going to learn Scrum, which is nice. I'm nothing against learning Scrum. I also done that. I also have Scrum certifications. The problem is if you only learn Scrum, because you also see in the past months or even about a year, there was a lot of agile professionals or Scrum professionals. They were fired from a lot of companies. There was a lot of mass uh, people being fired, like a mass. Not sure if mass firing does not sound good, but a lot of people together. Companies they basically close some areas and they put a lot of people out there. And here is a very interesting point. If you just only know Scrum, now you have a downturn in the market, then you have a problem because you're going to struggle to understand how you move forward. And again, this is the problem is not Scrum. The problem is not Agile. The problem is that projects they are executing a very complex environments with a lot of moving parts, and a lot of those moving parts will bring in different types of requirements. But that's why you see the hybrid approach growing, because some people understand. Okay, I see that I have value here on Agile. I see what type of value I can have here with the predictive. But what if I can try to combine some of those values? And that's what our company is trying to do there, and that's why you see those numbers growing there. So companies that use exclusive predictive there, it's dropping, and that's also the point where I say because I talk with a lot of people and a lot of people looking for working on like a construction industry, and they just want to know predictive. But if you only know predictive, you miss and all the types of value that you can all the type of knowledge that can help you to develop from agile from a hybrid systems and how in different ways you can think of that you can develop yourself to get value to your company. So what's the message here? Learn both. You don't need to be the person that only knows predictive or only knows waterfall. You don't need to be the person that only knows Scrum. You can learn those different things because more you learn, better will be your view, better the systemic view that you can have there, better the parts that you are going to be able to connect, and then you fully understand how you can add value in different organizations. And if you can do that, that's what's going to make your value in the market to grow. Because that means that you can do a lot of things. If a company says, I have something challenging, I want to follow Scrum. Okay, I can handle it. I want to follow waterfall. I can handle it. I can try. I want to try to mix it. I can handle it. I want to use Kanban. Yes, I understand that. And then you get a very valued professional there. So that's a very important insight and very interesting one in my view. Other one that's quite important, it's if you see here that they have something called the project performance, and this is the average number, 73 or around 74%. What's the average performance? It's project performance calculated based on the mean percentage of organizations completed projects that met business goal. And that means they asked all those people, those I think thousands of people that replied the survey, how often that their projects were meeting their requirements, and they kind of average it up. So the average performance in all the organizations is about 74%, which yeah does not give much. Yeah, if you don't look how it was in the past and what's now. But very interesting here. They break down. Okay, let me compare the top performers with the lower performance. The bottom 25% percentile and the top 25 percentile. Then you see a huge difference because the companies in the bottom there, their reported project management performance it's about 41%, and the companies in the top it's around 96%. And here you start to see project management as a competitive advantage. Because you imagine if you are a company and your competitor they can deliver in 1 year 2 times more than you, meaning faster with better business cases, with less loss, with less waste, more efficiently. It's very difficult for a company to compete in this situation. If you're going to launch a new product, the other company will do the product faster and better. And if you are building a house, the other company can build if you are building one house in this year, the other company can do more than two. They can do two houses and progress more. So that's a huge competitive advantage here. And of course, if you are interested in project management and say, okay, I already know that, but why it's important for you? Show that to your company, show that to your manager, because it's a nice way to convince people to invest in project management. Because no one wants to be in the bottom, everyone wants to be in the top. And if you are in the bottom, you are going to have a very long struggle until you come to the top. But if you never start developing yourself, you're never going to be there. And of course, your competition will outpace you a lot. And recently, I've seen a case from a company in Spain, and they were using the Kanban method there, and they do R&D, and they have a policy of open doors where they invite people there, and they when you walk in the company, you can see their Kanban walls and everything that they are doing there. And someone asked in the visit like, okay, but are you not afraid that your competitors will be here to check what you're working on? Because you have these open doors and people can visit to understand. And the answer is no, I'm not. Because even if they see right now what we are doing, they can never catch us. They are not going to be able to develop faster than us. They are not going to be able to develop this better than us. That's the idea here that you see in this number here. Think about that. If you are like a soccer team and you have this performance, yeah, this team here is gaining all the championships, and this team's probably is struggling to not going for the for lower divisions. Very important to see that, and also because then they further break down to understand the experience like scope creep, and to understand how those companies. Yeah, I there's probably the mistake here. They are talking about scope creep and budget loss. What's the thing here? The second one is the budget loss. Apologize for the same name. The thing is, those companies in the top five, they have less scope creep. What's scope creep? If you don't know it, it's basically you're doing something else, something that you should not be doing, or you are doing some extra scope that was not planned and probably it's not budget, and probably the customer might not even be paying for that or liking what you're doing. And of course, budget loss is very straightforward. Why? You start a project, then you cancel it or you complete it, but it fails, and basically say I lost the investment there. So if you see those numbers here, they are quite abrupt. Think about companies, big companies there, investing millions of dollars or sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars there. Like 9%, 10% can be millions of dollars, and in practice they are. But before someone say, yeah, but big companies they are different. I can tell you from experience, a lot of big companies they struggle with project management. They don't have right structure, and in those big companies they make big investments, so they even can lose much more money than that. Because if it's a small company and they start to lose money, they are going to be bankrupt. In a big company, those things tend to take much more time to happen. So again, very important data here for you to understand. Show that to your company. This will help you to bring awareness, because if you want to help your organization to be in the top performance, and of course I do not know if you were or not, but if you're too cocky that the company is in the top performance, there's a chance that you are not, because the top performance company they have this also growth mindset that I also talk about a lot here, which means that they are always looking for continuous improvement, or kaizen if you want to put like that. So very important to understand it. So far we talk about the trends for the different project management approach. We talk about performance, and now there's something nicer that they did in this Pulse for Professional. They start to look for companies and they start to research. Say, okay, we see this talent gap coming. How are you companies trying to deal with that? Because my experience, all the companies are struggling with that. And of course, not that you're going to see all companies that have open positions, but a lot of companies they have people, they do not know how if they have the right people. A lot of companies they don't have people with the right skills to execute it. No, so there are all different types of flavors of this problem. So they find out that some companies they have enablers to help people to develop their project management skills. And I'm going to talk about which are those enablers, or at least the top three one that you see in other companies there. But then the results are quite interesting here also, because you see companies that they don't have no enablers there, that they don't have any type of program to help their employees, their teams to develop their skills. As you would expect, their performance is lower than the average. If you think about the average here is 70, around 74, those companies are performing in around 68%. So then you already see the gap. But then you ask, okay, let me see what's the performance for the companies that are investing those enablers there, that are helping their employers to develop their skills. Why? Because they see the talent gap, they see this gap of skills that's in the pipeline. They see probably their strategy, their plans to develop new products, new service, construct new things, change their energy footprint, or change their global footprint in several different ways, change supply chains and so on. And they see that they don't have these. And usually companies they struggle to have the right people to execute projects in the time that they want, because a lot of companies, of course, they want to develop fast. So what you're going to see, so those companies they create programs to help their teams to develop their skills. And sometimes, for example, I've seen companies doing that. Like, I offer a project management training that's open for the broad audience in the company, not for only for the project management team. And what they do with that? Well, if there's people attending for this project management team, that means that they start to develop project management skills. So they're trying to also to develop a pool of pipeline of people that sooner or later they can start to fill those project management positions if they are interested on. So this is quite valuable information. Again, this is something that you should show in your company, because if your company is not investing in people here, you have the proof to say, yeah, the companies that are investing, again, you see a significant gap here. They are doing much better. Of course, it's not so absurd the versus the 41 versus the 96, but here, yes, if you have your competitors that are doing that, you are getting behind. And more they do that, more this gap will increase. And of course, if they are doing that with consistent at some point, They start to move for the top 25 and you start to get to the top 41. Why? Because project management continue to evolve. In the beginning, I talk about agile training, I talk about Scrum, I talk about Kanban, artificial intelligence. All those things they impact how they we do the work, how the business words behave, and of course, they should impact the way your company see the business itself, the way your company is investing itself. So here you have the proof that if you think it's expensive to invest in developing people, I can tell it's much more expensive of not investing in people. At the extremes, that might put you out of business. And here also some additional information. And here, of course, I did. Here you see the right information there about the scope creep and budget loss there. Here is very interesting to see that again, companies that they invest in those enablers, they have better results. Why? If they are supporting the development of knowledge and skills of their employees, what do you expect naturally? Those people who start to perform better will start to deliver better results, which helps the company to deliver more projects, achieving more goals, achieving more results, and to continue to grow. So you see the level of scope creep again here. It's quite different, and the level of budget loss also. And before someone say, but here's only 6%. Well, think about if you're investing $100 million per year. 6% is 6 million on waste that could have been invested in something else. So it's not a very sustainable way of thinking also. If you're thinking about sustainability, proper use of resources, it's much better to use the 6 million in something else. But also if you think about the efficiency of the business, profitability, there's a lot of money in the table that's there for the companies that they want to develop that. So again, this is the information that you should show and you should discuss in your teams, you should discuss in your company. Why? Because the chances are if you do not do anything on that, that means that likely if you do not look for the data from PMI, likely those companies also do not provide a 10. So that very likely mean that those companies are providing no enablers. So that's a chance that you are here. And depending how the culture and how the process in the organization is going, there is a chance also that you are in the bottle. And I can tell you, if you are in the bottle, if your company does not start to do something soon, sooner or later they are going to be out of business because of simply of this strategy here. Your competitors are far outpacing you. But I talk about the enablers, enablers, enablers. I want to show you the top three enablers and I want to explain them to you because, of course, that's very valuable information. So let's take a look here. What are the three most common enablers offered by organization? Of course, you can expect coaching and mentoring, training on new ways of work, and community practicing. Well, coaching and mentoring, it usually goes one on one. Why? Because you have some level of knowledge development, skill development that can be done in a training. Mainly if you look for a training like 1 month, 2 months. But with coaching and mentoring, you can get to the next level. Why? Because usually a coaching and mentoring program it's a little bit longer. Instead of 1 or 2 months, you're talking about 5 months, 6 months, sometimes 1 year. And it helps you to discuss the challenge that you have there. Because if you go for a training, even though if, for example, it's possible to customize a training, I've done that, to customize a training for a specific scope of a company. With the mentoring, you are going to discuss the challenges going on in the projects. So you are going to have sessions, discuss, get guidance, get feedback, help you to gain clarity in your thoughts, help you to collect your thoughts there, help you also to see things in different perspectives. So it's also a nice, very nice chance to have like someone to spare with your discussions. I spare in your discussions. Like if you do not know what's I spare means like it comes from boxing, sparring or comes from fighting in general. That's someone that you are going to train with. That's going to simulate in this fighting. Here comes that someone that's going to simulate a fight with you, so you learn things in practice, not only practicing like entering, not only practice movements, but you also practice all those unpredictable parts of movements and so on. So this is very nice. And I would say if you don't have a coaching and a mentoring, find one because that can help you to develop yourself a lot. And this is always important to have someone to discuss ideas. Sometimes things look much better in your mind than when you start to to put to put it outside to talk about it. When you start to reflect on that, those things that look very well in your mind might not look so well in reality. So that's a very important step in what you are doing here. Other thing is training of new ways of working. And why is that? Well, I mentioned in the beginning that you should learn waterfall, you should learn agile, should learn what's tailoring because tailoring it's what's going to be enable you to create the hybrid approach. But more different perspectives you learn, the different things how you can add value, better your systemic view will be. You have a better tool. You are going to have a better tools to solve different problems. And in practice, that helps a lot. Because, for example, if you look for a problem that a company has, and for example, a lot of companies are people that working there for 25, 30 years, they only have seen what this company is doing, which not necessarily it's a bad thing, but if you do not understand what's going around of you, you have a very limited view from your own world and your own way to see things. Once you start to look for different new ways of work, for example, if you are only using predictive, they start to talk about Scrum, and you start to think about, okay, how do you do that in Scrum projects? What kind of projects they do that? What kind of requirements they have that? What kind of constraints they have that? It helps you to rethink the way you are executing your project. If you look for Kanban, then of course, if you talk about Kanban, it's almost impossible to talk about Lean because Kanban simply evolved from Lean. It started there and it evolved from there. So it's very important way that you start to develop. And the last one is basically a community of practice. Why? If you remember, it's always nice to discuss. Okay, what other peers they are doing their projects, what kind of challenges they are facing, how they are dealing with those challenges, what are the lessons learned, what you can do different, how you can improve your process. Because these communities of practice here should be part of a continuous improvement initiative, of a Kaizen initiative if you want. Kaizen, if you don't know it, Kaizen is a term that comes from Lean, that means continuous improvement. So they are synonyms. Every time I say continuous improvement and Kaizen, in practice they mean the same thing. So once you have this continuous improvement community there, and you keep going, and again, if you are looking for improving 1% per day, 1% per day, and those things start to compound, 1% per day in 1 year, that will make a huge step in your development. If you do 1% per day in 2 years, those numbers will be absurd better. But of course, so we are talking about to develop knowledge, to develop skills, to develop culture, to develop collaboration, to develop leadership, all those things that are needed to help you to deliver value with your project, and all those things that we see a shortage in the market, and we see the shortage only growing in the upcoming years. So those enablers here, they are fundamental for any type of company. If your company is not doing that, that's something that for sure you should start thinking about it. So show this content here, show those numbers, bring up in a team meeting. Because why? If you bring up those informations in a team meeting, also helps the team to think about it. It also you are adding value there because people will look for you already in a different way. Say, okay, This is a person that really is trying to understand how to improve. That's that's why you look for the data from research. That's how you're why you're looking for a coaching and mentoring. That's why you are doing new trainings. That's why you are engaging with the community of practice. So those things are quite relevant here and quite important to keep you developing. That's why those insights here that I'm sharing with you, they are very important for you to develop yourself, but they are very important for your PMO office. And so sharing this with your PMO will also help them to gain a better view there. Because portfolio management, it's of course making sure that uh, the projects are being executed are the correct ones aligned with the strategy, making sure that you have things in place, governance in place, but also making sure that you have the capability to execute the projects that the organization need in the long term, not only in the next 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. If a company has a goal that needs 10 years, you need to see this 10-year goal and you need to start break down what needs to be done year by year. Then you're going to build on that those things. Otherwise, this goal will never to be going to be there. And of course, lack of skills, it's a very fundamental issue for all types of companies and all types of industries. So helping your company tackling this issue will make sure also the company understand that you are a different type of professional that is willing to grow, that has a huge potential in your career there. If you like the content, make sure again that you like this video and share this video with more people. More people needs to understand what's going on in the project management market, but also make sure that you share this into your company. People really need to start to look to those numbers to see how we can improve to make sure that we can close this talent gap there. Otherwise, we are going to see the entire world will take a hit in the GDP, which not something that everybody wants. And of course, if you understand what I'm saying here, if you understand the point I'm trying to make here, always comment here. I get it. Why I'm saying that? Because if you do that, I'm asking your help to comment to confirm that my communication was well received. As you probably know, communication is one of the biggest challenges in a lot of in all the organizations, and one of the ways to overcome this challenge is asking for confirmation. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm asking, is my message received? And if you say yes, it's received, just comment here. I get it. Then I know, okay, now it's understood, and now I know like I'm going to continue to do something like that. And of course, don't forget to follow me for more content. Every week there's more content. But also, don't forget to follow me on YouTube. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. On Instagram, I have a Q&A box open every day where you can ask all types of questions related with project management. Because if your goal is to develop your project management skills, my goal is to support you in that journey. Thank you and see you soon.